Hey guys, Sustained 16th Music here, and today I'm going to be doing a complete sound design tutorial. So this video is going to be broken up into several sections. I'm going to start with just the basic stuff that's going to apply with basically every type of synthesis. Then I'm going to move on to subtractive synthesis, then additive, then FM, and then I'll see what I can get in. Maybe modular, maybe something like that. So I'm just going to start by bringing in a Helm 64, which is a free subtractive synthesizer, and I'm going to use it to show you the basics. Alright, so here's the window, and different synths are going to look different, but over here you have your oscillator section, and I'll go over that later. And over here you have a filter, which I will, I guess, go over now. So, with synthesis, you basically generate a type of waveform with the oscillator, and that is where the different types of synthesis differ, is this oscillator section. And then you basically put it through several different editing things. So, filter basically cuts low and high frequencies. So you can hear it's cutting different frequencies. And then this is resonance, which on a filter, it basically boosts the frequency. So here's no boost. So there's that. So you basically filter out stuff that you don't want, and you can change filter types, and this is a low pass filter, and it lets the low frequencies pass. So this is basically the curve of what it'll let pass. And then this is a high pass filter, and it lets the high frequencies pass. So then you have envelopes, and envelopes are modified using ADSR, and that stands for attack, decay, sustain, release. And the attack is how long it takes to get to full volume. The decay is how long it takes to get to the sustain volume. The sustain is the volume you want it to sustain at. So like if you're holding down the note, it'll stay at that volume. And then the release is after you let off the note, how long you want it to go on for after. So this is a 3-second release, so it'll go like this. Here, I'll tell you when I've released the notes so you can hear what's going on. Release. And then if I turn it to a really short release, release. And you can see that. In attack, I'm going to hit or hit. So you can hear that that's making a difference. And the sustain, you can have a really quick thing like that, so it'll go. So you can hear it's dropping down to a really low volume really fast. Like that. So, by default, usually you have one mapped to amplitude, which is volume, and then you can map it to other things, and you might also have one mapped to the filter. And just a quick tip, if you have a filter envelope and you actually set it to modify the filter, you can get really resonant things if you do. Stuff like that very quickly sweeps through. So I'm just going to turn off this. So that's basically the basics of synthesis that you'll need to know for everything. There are other effects that are basically just little effects pedals that you can add in, but there are other things that also apply. So this is a mod envelope, so it by default won't affect anything, but you can map it to different parameters. So in this, you would click this and then move something, but that's different in different synthesizers. Here are LFOs, and LFO stands for low frequency oscillator, and you can change the frequency, which is how fast it goes. So right now it's going really fast, and then right now it's going really slow. You can change how deep it goes, so like right here it's barely moving, and here it's way up and then way down. You can change the waveform, so like right now it's just going in a kind of curve path, and then here it'll ramp up, then immediately start to ramp down with no transition. Here it'll just go bam, bam, with absolutely no transitions. Here it'll ramp up, it will start at the top and then go down, and then start at the top and then go down. So you have a bunch of different things you can choose from. You can set it to be different types, and you can set it to be in seconds, tempo, tempo dotted, or triplets. So now you have more LFOs, and then that's basically it. You will also probably have voices, and that basically affects how many notes you can play at once. So right here I can do up to 15 here. You can see what I'm pressing down here, but it's only playing one note. And that was actually a better way that you could see when I was letting off. Just look here. So you saw I let off way before it released. So, yeah, there's that. You also have, if you turn it to one voice, and then you can turn on porta, which is portamento. I always pronounce that wrong, but whatever. And that basically is glide in your note. So you can hear that kind of little ramp into the notes. And if you set it to auto, if you look down here, if I'm pressing one note at once, it won't do it. But if I do them both at the same time, it does it. So you can adjust how long it takes to do that and stuff like that. So yeah, and if you set it to 2 voices and then turn it to auto, it does something really cool. So you can have a bass note, so there's that. So that's basically all the things that will apply to all of them. Now I'm going to move on to subtractive synthesis. So with subtractive synthesis, you have your 2 oscillators, and you change their waveform up here. So there are different kinds of waveforms. So I'm going to turn down the volume of this oscillator, turn number 1 up. So this is a sine wave. So it's basically just a pure tone, no overtones or anything like that. This is a triangle wave, a bit more overtones. Square wave, pretty harsh. Saw wave, pretty harsh, but a different kind of harsh. Reverse saw wave basically sounds the same, unless you're doing really slow frequencies. So those are stepped waveforms, and that's basically kind of like a square wave. And then there's different stuff like that. Another thing in subtractive synthesizers that you might have is you might have pulse width for square waves. This one doesn't have pulse width, but it basically, you see how right here, this square wave is equal to this square, and with pulse width, it'll make this one only go like to here, and this one extend all the way to here, so it'll be, and that they call that pulse width, and it'll change the sound a bit. Here you have detuning, and that is for every synth type, and it basically makes your things sound more spread. So no detuning. Here I have to turn up the voices, so you can hear that it sounds like there are more things. So that's basically Subtractive. Oh, and Subtractive, the main focus is taking a complex waveform, then making it simple by filtering out stuff like that. And you can filter out stuff in other synthesis types, but in Subtractive, that is the focus. So now I'm going to go to additive synthesis, and for this I'm going to open Tunefish because it is a free additive synth. So you can hear right now it has an ADSR and effects. So we're going to turn off the delay so that you hear a more pure tone. So here I'm going to turn off everything except the ADSR. And then I'm going to show you kind of what everything does. So panning is kind of like is left or right. So you should be listening to this in stereo or in headphones, so you can hear that this is coming out the left channel, that's the right, and that's in the middle. Spread is kind of like the detuning of the other one. So you can hear there that's really detuned. That's so detuned that it's unusable. And that's not detuned at all. Damp affects the sound. Harmonics is basically the main thing of subtractive synthesis. So this is like a basic tone, and if I turn down the drive and turn up the volume, you can hear that that's basically just a sine wave. And then if I add more harmonics, you can hear that it kind of acts like a filter, but it's not a filter. And then modulation kind of changes the things. Scale. Drive is just a regular drive. And then you can add noise and stuff like that. And here you have all your glides, frequencies, stuff like that. So basically the thing of additive synthesis is you start with a simple waveform and then you add on more harmonics to make it complex. So that's basically additive synthesis. Now I'm going to show you FM synthesis. So I'm going to bring in a Dext, and Dext is a free open source FM synth based on the Yamaha DX7. So this is basically an emulator of that, and so all of these different things you can get for free. All of these synthesizers that I'm showing you examples of. So I'm going to initialize this so you can just see. So with FM synthesis, you can hear we just have that basic waveform that it's literally a sine wave, and that's not very exciting, so we want something else. So first I'm going to just explain kind of the basics of what FM synthesis is. So in FM synthesis, you have a wave that outputs the audio, and in this algorithm, that's wave 1 and 3 because they're right up here. And if you change algorithms, you can change which one is mapped to which and stuff like that. So And then all the other waves are modulating the wave. So you can see wave 2 is modulating wave 1, and wave 5 is modulating 4, which is modulating 3, which will actually output sound. So I'm going to turn off wave 3. So that will basically render 6, 5, and 4 effective. So all we're dealing with is 1 and 2. So basically, the essence of FM synthesis is its frequency modulation. So the this oscillator, oscillator 2, will be modulating the frequency of this oscillator, which will then go to the thing. So right now, go to the audio output. So right now, you hear no change because it's just a regular, the level on this is all the way down. Now if we turn up the level, that's basically an attenuator, changing the modulation amount. So here, you can hear that it's adding harmonics and frequencies above that. And if you want to learn FM synthesis quicker, check out Andrew Huang's video called FM Synths in 5 minutes or something like that. And that'll give you a really quick rundown, but this is a more in-depth one to get you actually making your own sounds. So there you have that, and that's basically the main essence. Right now we're in ratio mode, which means whatever note we play, it'll map to that note. But if we go to fixed mode, it'll just stay at one specific frequency, and no matter what we play, it'll be at that frequency. So I would personally recommend ratio mode, unless you want some really wacky sounds. So you can hear it more if I actually turn off this oscillator, so it's just a regular sine wave, and then turn this one to fixed. It's at 10 hertz, so you actually can't hear it, so I'm gonna turn it to 1000 hertz. So you can see down here, I'm playing tons of different notes, but it's still only playing the one. So we're gonna turn it back to ratio and turn it back down to 1. So it'll play the note that we do. So now we turn this on, and then you can do much more than this. If you adjust the frequency, you can hear that you're adjusting tons of stuff. And now we can also adjust fine-tuning to get a lot more wacky sounds. So you can get really wacky sounds with FMs. I'm just saying wacky a bunch. I don't know what I've been, yeah. But anyway, so you can, FM synthesis is really versatile, and you can get some very wacky sounds with it. But you can also just get regular sounds like that are boring. So now, the interesting part comes in when you start adding in different oscillators. So I'm going to turn off oscillator 1. So right now there's no output. So I'm going to turn on oscillator 3, turn up the level. So now we have just a basic sine wave, because oscillator 3 is connecting to the output. And then I'm going to have oscillator 4 modulate oscillator 3. Like that much. And then I'm going to have oscillator 5 modulating oscillator 4, which then modulates oscillator 3. And then if we turn this to a different frequency, you can hear we get a really weird sound. And then when things start getting interesting is when you start adding in, well, I mean, it's already interesting, but when you start adding in envelopes. So these envelopes are different than the normal ones. The normal ones are ADSR. This is not ADSR. So these are the levels of every point, and these are the rates of every point. So with a regular ADSR, the attack will automatically go to full. This, you set the level in it, which it goes to. So I'm going to keep it at full so that it's more like a regular one. And then the thing is actually reversed, because you can see I'm decreasing the knob, but it's increasing the attack, so I don't know what that's about, but, I mean, that's how it is. Now, this is the decay level, so if you want it to be basically the same as an ADSR, I would set the decay level roughly to what the sustain level is. Then you can adjust how long the decay time lasts, right here. Sustain time, that is the time after the decay, so I guess you could have a multi-point thing. So you can see it goes like that, and then you have yet another thing before it gets to the sustain, and then you have release and release time. So what I've basically done is automated this level. So right now it's going to be a regular waveform. I'm actually going to decrease this a bit so that it takes a bit longer. And then it'll start adding weird stuff. Alright, so here we go. So then it just decreased to point number 2, and you can see that right here. And it's still decreasing, so you can see, and then it just jumped to 4 because of the release. But you can see that you can get really weird sounds right off the bat. So I'm going to actually shorten this, so. And then make the decay match the sustain, and then turn the decay time, turn this way down. Alright, there we go. And then there, so it will be more gradual. So there you have that. So that's really cool. It's a really good way to, make really cool sounds. So yeah, that's basically FM synthesis in a nutshell. I don't know if there's anything else I want to cover. It is pretty hard to conceptualize FM synths, but once you get your head wrapped around it, I think it's a really good synthesis type. And I just actually recently started getting into FM synthesis, and I really like it because it has some characteristics and versatility of modular, but it's not so much of a price barrier to get into FM synthesis, because you can, But anyway, so I was going to do modular synthesis with VCV rack, but I don't think I'll have time in this video. If you want to see me go over that, just leave a comment and I will. And if you want to see a full video dedicated to FM synthesis, I can definitely do that, because it is way too big of something to accomplish in just one video. So yeah, anyway, I think that is all I am going to cover in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please tell me if you have any questions, comments, ideas of what software to go over. I'm always looking for new stuff, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.